Start sharing screen. So we have a little bit more about file processing. Okay, so let's finish that file processing first. So if you recall previously, we discussed file handling with raw byte, data, is it a character, data stream, is it? And what today we will learn is about data stream. Okay, data stream. And we also learned the buffer. And today we will learn it's called data stream. It supports binary input and output of primitive data type and also string. Okay, so it handle it as binary one. Okay, binary primitive and Boolean character as an integer, double, we already know, and also a string. Okay, here it's using data stream. So let's see what's the difference. Okay, and for this data input, this is for data stream IO, the data stream IO. So the related class, that's going to be the data output stream, data input stream, and the file output and the file input stream. Okay. So then let's take a look at the examples. So for this example, we have our file. Okay, it's a plain text file as what we saw previously. So it's about contact. So it has name, address, and age. Yeah, plain text, as it is kind of like ABC. There may be comma, there may be ABC at xyz.com, and then 38. So line by line, the LMN, then same thing. So that's the file it has. Okay, I don't remember exactly if it has comma or just a space. Okay, but anyway, so that's the file, and here we have the array. Okay, to store the name, address, and ages. So what we first want to do is we first to try to write the name, address, and age to a file. Okay, to a file. And because this involves file, we always need to take care of IO exception, and this is checked exception. So you must put it in the try-catch block, or you need to throw it. Anyway, you need to handle it. And after we write it, then what next is we want to read it. Okay, read the file. Then let's see. First, let's see how do we write back. Is it a write back as we write our using the array as it data to write back. And for this method, it throws IO exception. Okay, so if you take a look within the method, nowhere it's throw exception, because if there is anything wrong, this input and output will be thrown by this method. Okay, so first you're going to associate file name with this file output string. Okay, so here it's associate file name with it to a file string. And this is an output file string. Then you do what? Then we have the file output string initiate with a data output string so that you can write the information back to the file. Okay. Then based on it, so in this case, when we do write, if you take a look, then it's called write UTF, write UTF. Then this means it's write string. Okay, because This data stream is binary output. Okay, it's binary, so you need to specify write as a certain way. Is it? So here's write as a string. Here's write as an integer. Here's write as a character. Is it? With end of line. Then for end of file, it's this. So, and after you write to the file, finish it, then you also need to clean the string. And then, so we call flush a string, and then close the resource. Okay, so never forget to close the resource. So this is a write file, so not it's also kind of straightforward. It's just so here the basic point is you need to use the respective method. So write UTF, then whatever the argument, these two needed to match. That need to match. And like this is integer, so it needs to match. This is a character, so this needed to match. Okay, so that it knows in what kind of format it's going to write it back. And if your file write back as the binary, so that file, so the file is a binary file. And if the file is a binary file, so it cannot be read by the plain text editor, like a notepad. It won't be able to read it because you will see some unrecognized sign. Okay, even though they are just integer and string, but you will have some unrecognizable regular symbols. Okay, so it's not be able to read. It's just like a Word file. If you want to open in Notepad, you cannot read it. Is it? You need a Word application to open it. Is it? You write as that format. When you read, you also need to use that Word to open it. So same thing here. Okay, so here our write method, write in the file output format. So when you want to read that file, then you need to provide this read method. So for this read method, then it needed to use a binary file string to associate with the file name. Then you needed to associate this file string with the binary data string. Okay. Then when you do read, you can see you read correspondingly, because for that write, it's write UTF. So when you do read, you need to read UTF. Matching. That next one also matching. The next one read integer, next one read character. So basically, this read method and this write method, these two methods together kind of work like a application. Is it? Then all the file write will be that format, string, and integer, and character. It will always have this format. Okay, so that when you read, then you read as a string, read integer, and read a character, so that it knows. Okay, so this is how it handles. Okay, so you must provide the corresponding matching read so that you can read that file. Otherwise, that file, no one can read it. Okay. If you don't provide a correct version, then it cannot be read. Okay. So that's what this when we deal with data string, okay, for reading and writing, then you need to provide the matching one, okay, matching read and matching write, okay. So that's regarding this example. Then the last one in this, the last one is, let's see, it's regarding, it's not called data input, it's object input. So basically over here, it's still binary. Okay, but it can also handle object, not like that case, just primitive data plus string. This time it can also handle object. Okay, and for this time, what we do is we first use a file input string, then we do buffered input string. Okay, then we wrap it with object input string. So we also wanted to do buffering, as in not just coming in one, then you deal with one. That's too much disk access. Okay. So what over here, if you take a look, it's UTF, so nothing wrong. Is it because we have string. Then last time it's a small integer, is it then character. And this time we don't use the small integer. We call that a read object. Then over here it's big integer. Is it a big integer? But of course, over here, this age is still primitive age. Is it a primitive integer? So it's a primitive, but this will automatically do the conversion. But basically, what this part try to show us is, if you have some object like a class you define, then it can handle it. Okay, this can handle it. Suppose it's an employee. You read it, then you just over here, you cast it as employee. Is it? After you cast as an employee, then suppose this is E, then you call E data, like a get name, then get salary, then data get SSN, something to get the respective information. Is it? But for this file, when it store all employee related data as a single object. So that when you do read, then you need to do the respective way. Okay. And then later on, regarding that object, then you can do its retrieval. Okay, retrieval. So for this is simple case. It's just an integer. So it directly converted to primitive integer. Then we can also read a character, etc. So not a lot of difference between data string. This is called object string. The object is it provide a method called read object. Okay, and after you read it, you need to cast it, and then go ahead because you get the object. Okay, then you can go ahead and do all of the actions that the object support. Okay, So that's the idea. And the same thing for the write file. That then you write, you write. So what over here is you provide write object. That and it's an object. So same thing when you write and then this file not recognizable in like the text processing editor or some, unless it's an application that support read object and following this formatting. Is it first string then object, then it can read, otherwise it cannot. Okay, so be very careful here. Okay, so this is regarding file handling. So we have finished. So today, next, we will start with a new concept. About the GUI part. Why it changes to so... I don't know why it's got, hold on, okay. Why it changes to something like that? Hold on. Okay, now it looks right. Okay, so what today we will start to learn is about GUI application. And all previously we discussed is console application. Console application, okay, we need to use the keyboard and the monitor, etc. And it's plain text once. So today we will learn GUI application. Okay, GUI application. And the Java support GUI application. And with what we will learn is JavaFX. Okay, JavaFX. JavaFX, before JavaFX, there are two other package. The one right before FX is Swing. Before Swing is AWT, okay, but these are both replaced by JavaFX. And JavaFX is not just for desktop application. It supports rich internet application. Okay, so keep this in mind. So it's interpret, it can be also used for web application GUI. Okay, so it's much more convenient. It's kind of like we are moving toward more and more. You develop one app, it can be used also over internet and desktop, so that you don't need to develop as two different, two completely different set. So we merge them more so that can save a lot of developing work. So anyway, for Java GUI, we use JavaFX package. Okay. Then let's see. So for basic JavaFX application, its structure says it's an application we will see in our code. Okay, it has a main method called start. Okay, start, and with a stage plug-in. Okay, then because it involves GUI, etc. So for JavaFX, when it consider GUI, it's kind of using the concept like you design some play. When you design a play, you need to have a stage, etc. But this is two-dimensional. This is a 2D. It's a plane, etc. Plane, not like a Broadway show. It's 3D. This is 2D. But anyway, you still need a stage, we call. Basically, the stage is kind of like your window. Is it? You need to provide a window. Is it? Window has also title. Is it title? And then you need to provide, just like play on top of it, you can provide, we call it something. Okay, so you can provide something. And why we need the thing? Because sometimes you may have multiple on the window. You can allow it. So on the window, you allow multiple. As it window appears on top of it. So then you can use the thing concept. It's just like the play. As you have Wednesday, then you have summer thing. You have winter thing. Is it? So similar concept we borrow. Okay. Then on top of it, you can place whatever we call it GUI controls like a button, a form, text box, those stuff, video button, etc. of those. Okay. And we generally also call them nodes. Okay. So this is the general picture. Okay, then let's see. So general picture, maybe hold on, okay. Let me enlarge a little bit. So previously we saw the structure, okay. So here let's take a look more. And be careful, even though over here we draw like there's some space, but basically they can also overlap, okay. So it's on top of it. So the bottom layer, so it's kind of a layered setup. Okay, so the bottom is you first put on state. Okay, when you write the code, kind of. And then on top of it, you put a thing. You put a thing. And on top of it, we call it parent. Okay, parent. So in this diagram, you can see parent has two kind of thing, control and pane. Okay, and the control is just some like label, text field, button, checkbox, video button, text area, etc. Those I call UI controls. Okay. So Java already provide all of those controls. We can directly use that. Okay. Use a GUI control. And the other is called pane. So what is a pane? A pane is kind of when you wanted to put like a button, a label, a video button. Is it, how are you going to align the controls? Is it? So if we provide a pane, then the pane can provide you different way for layout. So pane basically is for layout. Okay, the real layout. Okay, so it's how you, where you put it, is it? So you need to provide a thing to hold all of that. So there are a number of different panes. Okay, later on we will see. And then what next is on top of it, you can also put node. Is it? Node not just, so node contain what? Node contain all of them. Node contain pane, control, image, view, and shape. Okay, so a pane. So within a pane, you can have some other pane, and the other pane, then you can put controls on it. You can also draw some shape. Is it? You can also maybe have some image. Okay, so all of them, they can be put on a node. Okay, on a node. So that's the general layout. And then next we know we understand the concept. Then next let's take a look at the code, okay, to have better understanding. Let's see the first one. And so here is a JavaFX, a pretty simple application, okay? And for JavaFX application, it's inherited from application superclass, okay? So you always need to do extends application. And if you take a look, it has a main method. It also has a start method. The start method override, it's from the application. So that's your application window where it's going to start. Okay, start. So that's why we have this method. Okay, and then let's take a look. If you take a look, the main method, basically it's just called a launch, is it? So we don't need to worry, okay? So it's going to launch this application, is it? And you will also not see any of the start get called in main, is it? So don't need to worry. It's all taken care by the application, okay? And this is JavaFX application. And then next, let's see. And for JavaFX application, you will see each time when you want to use it, you need to import a number of class packages, okay, different package, application package, event package, scene package, stage package, geometry, you know, different package. And under different package, then you also have like control, is it? And text, is it? So all different things, and then the specific class. Okay, that's regarding the package. And then next, let's take a look at the coding part. And the JavaFX, at very first, you will say, oh, it's so overwhelmed. There's so many classes. How can I remember all of them? You don't need to worry, okay? Because a lot of time, when you type the grade pane, it will automatically then prompt you that you need to import the respective class, okay? So generally speaking, when we design a GUI application, normally this part is also provided by default when we create a JavaFX application, okay? And this is the primary stage. Later on we will see. So if you just have a single stage, then you will only be worried on this primary stage. A primary stage for this set title, so that's just your window, is it? Your window has a title. So that's regarding this part. Okay, regarding this part. And what next? It designs as a start with the grade pane. So that's regarding pane. Is it regarding pane? Okay, so what over here? This pane, it's going to use a grade pane. Grade pane is a 2D pane with rows and columns. With rows and columns, okay? So that's regarding called grade pane. So basically it's kind of, you have a pane. Then it's kind of, you have a certain number of rows and a certain number of columns. Okay. So this is how are you going to align it? It says, okay, align as a center, okay, and the gap. So you, for each of it, you may also have some gap, okay, horizontal gap, as a vertical gap, and the padding is it. So those are padding. So of those, okay, so those are regarding pixels. So let's just try, you try more, then you will have idea what's the best looking design. Okay, so all of those are regarding the user interface design. And then what next it wants to have is some plain text. So this is scene title, it's plain text. Okay, so you just plug in this string. So here's welcome. Because it's text, is it? So you can also set font, is it? And the font width, size, is it? And then here you are going to add this text to the grade. Where it's going to add, it's going to add at the first row and the first column. But here it's a span 2 columns, but 1 row. Okay. So basically, this welcome, it's kind of like it's going to appear here. Okay. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention is in computer about graphic. In computer graphic, the coordinate system is the origin is at the top left. And then the horizontal move toward the right, and the vertical move toward the downward. Okay, so 0, 0, the origin is at top left. Okay, that's how this row 0, column 0, it's at here, the top left. But it spans 2 columns, is it? So the word will take 2 columns. So that's the first. So basically, this is a text. You add it to the grade pane, is it? And what next is a label. Label, is it? And where it add? It add second row. Second row. First column. So the first is regarding column, second is regarding row. Okay, so so it's going to be added here. So this is a label. Is it called username? Okay, so this label you add. Okay. Then next, let's take a look more. So let's get back to the. So this is our grade pane. Okay. Grade pane. So the first one, we have that welcome. So it's a span 2 column. The second one is a label called username. Is it at the first column, but the second row? Okay. And then what the next one is a text field. And the text field will allow user enter something. Okay, enter something. So here, this is a text field. Text field is specified at the second column and the second row. Is it? And what next is password label. So here you have that password. Password, is it? And then you have a password field. So this is a password field. it's kind of like a text field password, but it takes a password, do some checking, is it? What next one, it has a button, is it? And the button, if you take a look, the button is going to be added to a horizontal box. Okay, and where it is, it's going to be the 5th row. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it? It's going to be here. So this is the button. And this button is called sign in. So it's a button. Okay, it's a button. But be careful, this button, did you see here you create another horizontal box. So you have a horizontal box. So that's at H box. Okay, and that H box, then the button where it's going to be at the bottom right. So it's kind of located at its bottom right. And then for the H box, then you can call the get children then dot add to add the button to the box. Okay, so basic H box, it's another pane. So you can, this already is a pane, the very outer one, is it? This is called grade pane. So within pane, you can also plug in some other pane. Okay, so that's allowed here. Okay, so anyway, so this is a button. And what is the next? You're going to have some text. And the text temporarily is empty, is it? And then you're going to add it at the 7th row. It's a 4. Then this is 5. Then this is 6. So this part, is it? So that's going to be the action text. So right now it's empty. Okay. So you have this whole, so this is the layout. So you can see a lot of time, your time and efforts is going to be put on the layout design. Okay, there. And if you're pretty good at web page design, this shouldn't be a big deal, is it? So once we have the grade pane kind of design, is it? Then you need to add it to scene. So this is grade pane. Then you add it to a scene. Add it to scene. That's our grade. And then your scene is going to be put on the stage. You need to add it to the stage. Okay, stage. And then the stage you call the show. Then it will display the GUI design. Okay, so that's the whole procedure. Okay, so let's take a look at the running result of this application. Why is it so slow? Still not showing. Okay. Now it comes. And I don't think you can see that window. So let me reshare that window. Okay, so this is what our application just created. As it, if you see, this is the window part. Is it also with minimization, close? Is it of those window title as a part? So that's regarding the state. So, so all of this is a stage. And so basically your scene, this part is your scene. So this part is our scene. Is it within the scene what we have? We have that. So this, why it's gone? So this is the second part is scene, and this is our grade pane. For our grade pane, we have the grade. And another text should be out, okay, wherever you click the button, is it? So over here it's a text and the label, text box, label, text box, password box, is it? And the button, so all of this, okay. And this is the output text when you click the button. So generally you can see, this is running results. Okay, and then let's get back to our code. Okay. So you can see that output. So here is our output. So there are quite a number of information, is it? But that GUI window, it's a different one. It's a different one. It's a sales independent. Okay. And what next I'm trying to explain is how do we create a GUI application? Okay. So in NetBeans, what you can do is you do new file, new project. But this time, be careful, okay? When you do new project, don't select Java. You need to select JavaFX. So you need to select JavaFX instead of Java. And in our case, we just do JavaFX application. Okay, of the others, we are not going to discuss. So JavaFX is JavaFX application, okay? And then you can go to, like here, next. Then you just, as what we learned before, okay? But over here, it also said you're going to consider JavaFX platform, okay? So just be careful, okay, for JavaFX application. All of our previous one are console application. Console application, okay. And this time you need to do JavaFX application. Be careful, okay. Otherwise you won't get to the result. And then normally you don't need to worry a lot, is it? So like over here, if you type, suppose if you type, so we have this H box, is it? Suppose I comment out. If I comment out that H box, whenever you try to use H box, if you type H box, it will give you an error message if the package is if the package not included, is it not included? Then a lot of time, what we can try is you can do like H box, like A, is it? And then let's see over here, the error is that it cannot find the symbol, is it? It cannot find the symbol. So you need to include the respective. You need to do the import. Okay, you need to do the import the respective. And normally in official Java documentation, in that Oracle.it, if you try to like search, you can find the detailed this import information. Okay, so then you can just do you know the whole package name, is it? Then you just import it. Okay, just import it. And you do need to import, otherwise it won't be able to work. Okay, so that's this first example. Then next, let's take a look at this is, oh yeah, the second example. The second example is about loading an image. Okay, loading an image. So let's take a look over here. Pretty similar if you take a look. If you take a look at the structure, whenever you create a new project and you after you give name, it will automatically generate this empty template. So it will have the extent application, start, and the main, it will be taken care. Normally, what we need to do is you need to work this start methods implementation. And even this part, it's already being taken care of, okay, so that you don't need to worry too much. So what next it's try to do is, in this example, we first create a horizontal box to hold all of the images. Okay, so a horizontal box, it's also a pane, okay. And then we set the padding, nothing new, because it involves the image. So you need to do file input, okay. And because of the file input, so that's why this method, if you take a look, it's a throw exception, okay, to take care of the exception, okay, so that we don't need to do the try catch, okay. This will taken care of. And because it's an image file, so you are going to associate the image file string with the image. So this is the image within JavaFX, okay, control. And once you have this image view, image, then you have the image view associated, because otherwise you cannot see it. That image just take care of that image, and you needed a viewer to view it. And this control is it then going to be added to that horizontal box. So over here we have this horizontal box, is it? So then you will have this image be added. Okay, so the image view is going to be added to that horizontal box. And then we create a second image. Is it? And for the second image, still use the first image, but you set it to a different size. Is it? So maybe it's kind of small something. Is it? Then you just call add to the second. And for the third one, we still use that image, but this time we also can do rotation for the image view. So maybe it's you rotate it to 90 degrees and then you add it, okay, to the pane. So it's also pretty straightforward over here. And after you have the pane created, you need to add it to scene, okay. After the scene, then you need to add the scene to the stage, is it? And then you can show, okay. So we can also run this example to take a quick look how oh, then I need to stop sharing and sharing again. So that's what this looks like, is it? So you have the image, the first image, this is second image resized, And the third one is you rotate, is it? And this is a horizontal box, is it? So everything going to be automatically aligned horizontally, okay? Okay, so that's all for today.